I'd have pulled out weeks ago if I was going to pull out, you know. I've fought many times with injuries, as you know. I've fought with injured shoulder before, broken hand, broken ribs,
Daniel was ill. He looked incredible. I hear I wasn't here in training last night, so that's strange. He's ill. He can't fight if he's ill. Okay, health has to come.
In a stunning twist that left fans reeling, Dillian Whyte has announced his retirement from boxing just weeks before his highly anticipated clash with rising heavyweight star Moses Itauma. The announcement, wrapped in vague references to financial strain and uncertainty surrounding his
I'd have pulled out 3-4 weeks ago when I knew that obviously the manager position was going to be in place. You know, obviously my camps cost a lot of money. My training camps cost me a lot of money, you know what I mean? So I'd have just pulled out early to save all of this and money and stuff. I got like a lot of people in camp that works for me. Look,
management team has ignited a firestorm across the boxing world. But let's cut through the noise because no one's buying the fairy tale ending YT is trying to sell. To many, this wasn't retirement, this was retreat. YT's decision to walk away so close to fight night wasn't just shocking, it was seen as
British fight fans because we got a chance to make the biggest fight in boxing, but you know, if that is the last we see of him, he's had a great career. I doubt it. But, you know, it's always best to come into retirement to make sure someone pays you to come out of retirement. But if that's his lot, much respect to him and wish him all the best.
as an outright duck. Fans, fighters, and pundits alike are calling it what it is, a desperate move to avoid a beating at the hands of a teenage phenom who was ready to take his head clean off. And nowhere was that sentiment clearer than in the brutally honest words of Eddie Hearn. Hearn, usually the polished and diplomatic mouthpiece of matchroom boxing, couldn't even hide the sarcasm in his voice when addressing YT's
It's time to retire when your physicalities change. Your punch resistance isn't as good. You know, maybe you're a bit slower. Maybe your desire's not there. You know,
called retirement. He didn't mince words. He didn't hold back. According to Hearn, this wasn't a noble farewell from a seasoned warrior. It was a cheap stunt, a PR trick, a coward's maneuver. Dillian Whyte didn't step away to preserve his legacy. He vanished to protect what little of it was left. His chin is gone. His speed has...
I think actually Eddie Hearn had kind of called that a couple of weeks before. He said he's probably going to try and retire to bump the purse bid up.
Yeah. Vanished, and his hunger died a long time ago. Hearn said coldly, this wasn't retirement, this was surrender. And he wasn't the only one speaking from the heart. Johnny Nelson tore into the situation with trademark honesty, calling out YT for playing the same tired game. Dillian's the boy who cried wolf, Nelson said. Every time the pressure's on, he disappears behind retirement.
This retirement, I'm not sure if it's genuine. Maybe it is, but I don't know what he's going to do now he's retired. But the fact of the matter is, he's announced his retirement. He's either trying to leverage for more money and putting himself in position, so he's got people begging for him to come out, or he's actually genuinely going to retire. Not sure what it's...
rumors, injury claims, or failed drug test whispers. According to Nelson, fans are tired of the act. And this time, he believes YT saw the writing on the wall. Moses Itauma wasn't just another fight, he was a reality check. A young, vicious, calculated killer ready to make a statement at YT's expense. This wasn't a retirement, Nelson declared. This was fear, plain and simple. Carl Froch, never one to hold his tongue, echoed those sentiments, only louder and with even more bite. Froch looked at the timing, the narrative, and the context, and came to one clear conclusion. YT's exit was nothing more than a desperate grab for attention. I'm sick of it, Froch said flatly. This is a drama act, not a retirement. It's exhausting, it's fake, and it's insulting to fans and fighters alike. He didn't stop.
It's just wrong, in my book. But you know what? I also think that, you know, what he's done, it's like a slap in the face for his dad.
There. Froch continued, accusing YT of orchestrating this retirement to stay in the headlines and perhaps squeeze out one last paycheck down the road. Whether it's ego or money, it's pathetic, Froch added. Dillian had a chance to stand tall, to face the next generation like a man. Instead, he folded, and not just folded, he vanished. Duke McKenzie took it even further. The former world champion didn't just call YT's decision unprofessional, he labeled it a betrayal. This wasn't just a retirement, McKenzie said. It was a slap in the face, to the fans, to boxing, and to his own family legacy. Dillian didn't go out on his shield. He quit before the war even started. Mackenzie focused on the emotional damage this kind of exit causes, not just to Whyte's reputation, but to what he stood for. You don't get to build a career on being the tough guy, the street fighter, and then vanish when it gets real. He's
not going to do it again. We've seen it before, and I'm quite sure the Commonwealth's going to be the boy that cried wolf. I think in reality...
His father probably stood ringside at so many fights, believing his son was the real deal. That belief just shattered, not in a loss, but in a no-show. Colin Hart, one of the most respected boxing journalists in the game, didn't hesitate to shine a harsh spotlight on a darker aspect of Whyte's career, the failed drug tests. While Whyte has always managed to dance around the controversies, the whispers have never gone away. Hart didn't call him guilty outright, but he made one thing clear. The pattern is undeniable. 1 failed test is unfortunate. 2 is suspicious. But when it starts becoming routine, fans begin to wonder what was real and what was fake. Hart said, and now with him pulling out days before fighting a clean, dangerous, and young fighter like Moses, it only raises more questions. The message, Dillian didn't just retire, he
is trying to get attention, he's trying to stay in the limelight and keep in the public eye, or is he trying to do it as a negotiating ploy, so when he's retired it's going to cost a bit more money to get him out of retirement? But either way, if I'm totally honest, I'm getting
ran, and worse, he left behind a trail of smoke. Dave Coldwell, never one to sugarcoat, voiced the gut reaction many fans felt: betrayal. Cheating bastard, he said in frustration. Maybe it sounds harsh, but in Coldwell's eyes, it's honest. Fans expected a war. Instead, they got headlines and heartbreak. The criticism wasn't limited to Dillian's retreat. The spotlight quickly shifted to Moses Itauma, a 19-year-old destroyer who was ready to seize the moment. And while Dillian was ducking, disappearing, and disappointing, Moses stayed silent, focused, ready. And then came the praise. Tony Bellew didn't hold back. A former world champion himself, Bellew compared Itauma not to some overhyped contender, but to the pound-for-pound master Alexander Usyk. He's not there yet, Bellew said, but the foundations are all there. Footwork, ring IQ, timing, composure. Moses has everything.
Just that he's a big personality and he sells fights so well and he's a big character, and the press conferences, the build-up to fights and what he delivers in the ring. The guy is a serious talent, and he'll be missed when he's retired. That is for sure.
Bellew acknowledged the size factor. It's always a concern at heavyweight, but reminded everyone that Usyk faced the same doubts and silenced them. Boxing isn't about size anymore, he said. It's about intelligence, movement, and precision. Moses has all 3. He's not hype, he's the future. That future just got brighter with Whyte stepping aside. Now there's no noise in the way, just a clear path forward. Derek Chisora, known for his raw, unfiltered takes, laid it out with brutal clarity. Fighting Moses Itauma right now, that's suicide for any unprepared heavyweight, Chisora said. You've got more chance winning the lottery than beating him. And he wasn't being dramatic. Chisora has seen talent, he's faced killers in the ring, and even he admits Moses is different. Moses has the coaching, the calm, the killer instinct. Chisora continued, he's already moving like a top 5 heavyweight, and he's not even...
Don't forget, he's been failed 2 previous drug tests. The second one, he was exonerated. So let's not jump to conclusions, but it's not good for him. And it's not good for the sport.
Out of his teens. That's terrifying. Guys like Dillian feel that, and that's why they back out. This fight was supposed to be a torch-passing moment, a battle between generations. But instead of honorably handing it over, Whyte dropped it and ran. What could have been a spectacular farewell has turned into a cautionary tale, a bitter ending, filled with accusations, doubt, and shame. And still, Moses said nothing, because he didn't need to. While the boxing world erupted in fury and disappointment, Itauma kept grinding in silence. And that silence, that focus, it speaks louder than any excuse. This wasn't just the end.
Fucking hell, cheating bastard. You know, that's the initial reaction. Whether it's a first fail or a third fail, that's the initial reaction. Your gut reaction is. But then, obviously, we don't know what he's failed for yet, and we don't know what it is. But then when it's someone that's failed 3 times, or this is the 3rd adverse reaction.
End of a fight. It was the end of a facade. Dillian Whyte, once a feared contender screaming anyone anywhere, chose escape over engagement. He'll be remembered not for the wars he fought, but for the battle he never showed up for. It's a harsh truth, but it's the truth nonetheless, and it paints an even brighter spotlight on Moses Itauma. He didn't need to sell drama, pull stunts, or beg for headlines. He let the work do the talking. He trained. He stayed ready, he stayed hungry, and now the path is clear. No more roadblocks, no more smoke screens, just pure raw opportunity. And with veterans like Bellew and Chisora backing him, the boxing world is beginning to realize the truth. This isn't just a rising star, this is a generational talent. Moses Itauma didn't lose a fight with Whyte. He inherited a legacy, not through a punch, but through presence, through professionalism, through poise. Meanwhile, Whyte fades away, not with cheers, but with murmurs. Murmurs of cowardice, manipulation, and regret. So where does the division go from here? Moses Itauma steps forward as the UK's most dangerous...
But he's the next in line. I think he's the future of the heavyweight division. I think he's an outstanding talent. I think he's got a good team around him, Ben Davison and Lee Wiley. Wiley is the brains that study everything. And they use what we call video analysis now in boxing. They're the one team that...
Young prospect. He has the skills, the temperament, and now the spotlight. The fake exits and failed tests of others only make his rise more authentic, and the heavyweight division better pay attention, because Moses isn't coming. He's already here.